看到傅园慧今天身体，我知道她的身体昨天好像不处在最佳状态，但其实我知道你已经拼尽全力了。
我觉得今天是我没有好，对不起我的队友。
没关系，我知道你已经尽力了，你已经发挥自己最好的状态，是不是肚子现在非常疼啊？
对，因为昨天来例假了，所以就还是会有点乏力吧，感觉特别累。但这也不是理由，还是我没有游好。
没关系，已经非常好了，下次继续努力，好吗？谢谢你们，谢谢。
Hi, today we're going to talk about the effects of menstrual cycle phase on sports performance. Menstrual cycle is a natural phenomenon occurring in women. It is important to examine the physiological effects of on exercise and sports performance. The menstrual cycle length was divided into phases. Follicular phase, which is calculated from the first day of menstrual cycle until the luteinizing hormone surge. Luteal phase is the first day after the luteinizing hormone surge until the last day of the cycle. Most ovulatory women have an increase in basal body temperature of approximately 0.3 degrees Celsius after ovulation, which is sustained throughout the luteal phase. During early follicular phase, both estrogen and progesterone concentrations are low. Estrogen starts to increase halfway through the follicular phase to reach a peak in the late follicular phase, and then sharply drops just prior to the ovulation. After ovulation, both estrogen and progesterone increase until a plateau is reached during the mid-luteal phase. In the late luteal phase, estrogen and progesterone decrease again. One factor to consider is that both estrogen and progesterone concentrations are elevated during exercise, so measurements of the hormone concentrations should occur at rest. The fluctuating hormone levels do not affect muscle contractile characteristics. In active women especially, one cannot assume that there is a consistent menstrual cycle with regular hormone concentrations when regular bleeding occurs. Regularly menstruating athletes who compete in intense anaerobic and aerobic sports do not need to adjust their menstrual cycle to maximize their performance. But menstrual cycle affects the temperature regulation, therefore it is advisable to adjust their competition to their cycle if it is expected to occur in hot, humid conditions. Estrogen has positive effect on the strength peaks seen during the follicular phase, just before ovulation and at mid-cycle. Progesterone does not have any effects on muscle strength or function. Exercise has not been shown to either cure or exacerbate menstrual cramps, but it has been shown to relieve menstrual symptoms due to improved circulation to the uterus and an increase in levels of endorphins created in prolonged exercise. As long as the subjects did not suffer with premenstrual and menstrual symptoms, no alterations in exercise performance that involves eccentric muscle actions will occur. But trials were not considered on the first day of the menstrual cycle, where menstrual discomfort mostly takes place. Several studies found an increase in heart rate during the mid-luteal phase, which may be related to the increased body temperature at the time. Most studies, however, indicate that heart rate is not affected by the menstrual cycle. Strength plays a significant role in sprinting. There is a relationship between 7-beta estradiol, progesterone, and strength. Ovarian hormones may influence sprinting and recovery. High concentrations of 7-beta estradiol and progesterone during the luteal phase, or only high concentrations of 17-beta estradiol just before ovulation, would result in better sprinting performance. Ovarian hormones may affect phosphocreatine recovery rates by inducing slower rates of phosphocreatine recovery in amenorrheic which is the absence of menstrual period in endurance athletes. Higher phosphocreatine recovery in a series of 10 6-second sprints was greater in luteal phase. Increased concentrations of 17-beta estradiol may improve muscular loading capacity during the 10-second sprint roaming. Menstrual discomfort may explain the differences in sprinting, but it is not reported that menstrual cycle phase does not have any effect on sprinting and its recovery. Athletes attain menarche later than non-athletes. The intense training during the puberty years can cause menstrual disorders. As the longevity of sport age got shorter, the menarche age could be higher and the menstrual disorders could increase. It was determined that high-intensity training delayed menarche age. Intense exercise has been reported to delay menarche when the sports activity begun before puberty. Menstruation was more regular and normal in the non-athletes than the athletes, and that 17% of athletes have an irregular menstrual cycle. Excessive loss of body weight, body fat ratio, and training and competition stress causes the irregular menstrual cycle and the amenorrhea. 50.49% of athletes mentioned that their performance was not affected by their menstrual cycle, while 49.51% mentioned that their performance was affected. Speed and endurance were not affected by the menstrual period if athletes have no pain. Some of the limitations in these studies were small sample size and the timing of the testing. Since hormones fluctuate, one should never assume a consistent hormone concentration for regular and irregular menstruating women. Also, measurement on the hormone concentrations should be done at rest because exercise and other activities could affect it in resulting higher concentrations. More studies should be conducted to further understand the effects of menstrual cycle on exercise performance